Oh, we've got ourselves a steel toe special today. Ray Devito is our guest, the host of the Rock Bottom podcast. Find it on Ray Devito's channel. Now, Ray, I know you get a lot of shit about the times you decide to go live. What's the official time of Ray Devito's show nowadays?
It honestly, I try not to conflict if I know other people are going live. But also like I do stand up at night, so like I can't control exactly what time I get done with the show, what time I get back. I notice that there's more people available at 10, so I try to focus on 10. Sure. But if I'm going to be a little later than 10, then it's after that. But then
you catch shit for that, right? Not having a set time, like, hey, we're going to broadcast at this time. I think you do what I've done in the past, and that's you worry too much. You worry that people aren't going to be here at this time, or they might be here more at this time. Just fire off at the top of the hour and go with that.
Yeah, no, I like doing it this way. I know I get shit with it, but I try to stick to like either 10 or 11 if I know I'm going to be late. I try to do that.
Isn't Carlos Danger from the Insufferable Bastard supposed to be producing, like making sure, he should be taking care of that shit, making sure everything's on time. And you're the talent, Ray. You can't be worried about all this logistical shit. Let Carlos do that.
That's the first time someone called me the talent.
Yeah, well, that's one of my biggest problems with the way you're treated on your own goddamn program. I like that you've been going back at these guys a little bit because they need to recognize that the reason people are there is because of Ray DeVito, not because of Joe or Carlos Danger or anybody else. I'm sure you're grateful for their help. But you're the fucking talent, and you got to put your foot down and let these guys, you got to have a separation of labor here with your program.
Well, I like all those guys, obviously. But also I think they like it when I get mad. Like every time I get mad at them and get angry, they're like, "Oh, that was great. That was great." So it's almost like they want me to get worked up.
Great for them. But not great for you. That's what I mean. Like you're in charge. You got to. I like it when you yell at those guys. You're like, "Shut the fuck up! It's my show." So on and so forth. Like I saw that guy that Joe ran off, that buddy of yours, and he ran off because he wanted to get it.
I was not happy about that. Joe knows that. We've handled that behind the scenes.
My problem with Joe, even from our interview, is that Joe has this weird little man syndrome where he wants to prove to everybody that he knows a lot of shit and he can do shit and this and that. And he wants to jump in when it's not his show. I sometimes I watch, the way Joe treated that friend of yours and the way he stepped all over you during our program that we did. I get confused and I'm like, Joe, if you want to do a fucking show, then do a fucking show, but don't produce someone else's show and then use it as a Trojan horse to take over for yourself. That's what I mean, Ray. You got to put your foot down on these guys because I find it entertaining when you yell at Carlos or you yell at Joe or anyone else and like, hey, my show, fall in line. This is what we're doing.
Well, if you notice, like when you did, thank you for doing my show, but also like that's when I just began on the network and like the McCaffrey thing, that's when I just began. So like things have been cleared up since then. Like that doesn't happen so much anymore. And by the way, I do like when Joe's on the show a lot of times. A lot of times I ask Joe to come on the show. I like Joe. Yeah.
Does he currently have a gun pointed at you so you say that?
He does have guns. That is one thing he does. He definitely has guns.
Good call.
Yeah, but he is a good guy. I know he's getting a lot of flack online right now. And to Joe's credit, like he likes it. He doesn't mind it. He doesn't run away from it. He leans into the bit.
He does. He strikes me as a guy, and take this however you will. He strikes me as a guy who's just happy to be getting the attention, as it were. So
he is a smart guy too. I mean, you could say what you want, but he is a smart guy. Like I think yesterday we never got into it, but I had some article from the Wall Street Journal, and the whole thing was about like Native Americans, kids. Like they're getting upset that like white families are adopted. Like that was just in the headline. I go, I'm just going to read the headline and make up my own story. Yeah. And then you tell me what it actually is. And then because I don't know if you do that with the news, but I'll do that with the news a lot. Like a lot of times you'll see like a New York Times article. You just read the headline, then you go to read it, and it like a lot of times it makes you subscribe to the story. Scott,
sure.
I'm not gonna buy it.
No.
But that article was like, actually the whole article was there, and I go, I'm just going off the headlines, saying that white families are trying to adopt all the Native American babies.
Yeah.
And Native American families are angry at it. I still don't know what the article is about. So,
Well,
but we never got into it. But I like him. He's a smart guy, and I do like Joe. I'm gonna put that on right now. Let's shit on him.
Let's shit
son of a bitch.
Let's shit on that piece
That
of
bastard.
shit. Let's shit on him for a little bit. Let's be honest, because you and I have not spoken since the first time I was on. And while I had fun in a perverse way, because I think it was Joe and the audience were like, we're going to get this guy. We're going to get him. And it seems like every time they went for their gotcha, I just kind of went, no, it's not like that. It's like this. And I just kind of swiped it away. And then I was like, all right, let's get back.
People were really upset with you at that time. I didn't realize all the heat. That was like, wow, people wanted your head on a platter.
What can I say? I'm a heel, baby. I'm a heat seeker. We're both pro wrestling fans. I get heat. I get the good kind of heat. But yeah, I think Joe kind of wanted to jump in on that, and he kind of wanted to be a part of it, and he wanted it to be the Ray, Aaron, and Joe show. And I was like, fuck you. I want to talk to Ray. I don't give a shit about this guy over here. So I kind of thought it got hijacked a little bit because you and I got going on a couple of good riffs, and then here comes this fucking weird, like, kid voice coming in. Ray, excuse me, we have super chats we need to get to. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, Ray and I are trying to talk about shit, and all of a sudden it's like, excuse me, Ray, you're making this guy look too likable and enjoyable. We got a bunch of people who want to shit on him, so let's do that. Which I thought was fun, but also I thought it kind of took away from what you wanted to do. I got the vibe that your show kind of got hijacked on you.
Well, I'll be honest. That day, I had the worst Wi-Fi I've ever had. Like, my buddy has a studio, and he's like, no, come here. I got the great Wi-Fi, and it was horrible. So a lot of times, like, I couldn't even see me. Yeah. I would just be spinning, even though you could hear me, and I was live. Like, so I was like, it was like trying to drive a car through a heavy rainstorm. Yeah. It's like I couldn't see the road through a lot of it. I could hear your voice and stuff, but I couldn't see me. I was spinning and stuff. So, I mean, a lot of it was on me, in my own head. I just saw, and also that day in particular, I was really, because at that time, Chad and I were like kind of friendly for a moment. And then he just like went rogue and was like trying to get me. He lied to Levy and Brennan to try to get me off of MLC for good.
Oh, you were fucking
Shuley about so I was heated and
you were going
like trying
after
to get someone fired.
Yeah, you were going after Chad. You were going after Bob. You were going after everybody that day. But I did feel like even when you weren't having problems, like we would get going, you'd ask me a question, I'd start answering. And here, this little pipsqueak is fucking off screen going, we need to get to some super chats, you guys. And it's like, who the, like in Scarface, who the fuck is this guy, man? And I'm just like, fuck this guy. Ray, let's talk. Let's chat. And then it just kind of, it never got there. That's why I'm glad I could get you here today. And we could talk more about you.
Guess what I got with me? Get in here, Jill.
Yeah. Excuse me, Ray. I don't like this guy, and he teases me, so we need to find some bad things to say about him. We got it. I'll go on. Look, Joe needs to get his own show so he can settle his own scores, and I'll go on it. And that's the other thing about your show. When I was on it, I felt it was unfair to you because, like you said, you had so many people who like wanted to settle a personal score with me, and it felt like they wanted to do it through you, and that kind of pissed me off on your behalf. Like I was mad for you, where I was like, Ray wants to do a show. Ray and I have been talking about doing this for a long time before any of this shit happened. And now everybody, like even on that post show that you did, everybody was like, Ray, why didn't you do this? Ray, why didn't you do that? And I'm like, nobody ever gave Ray a chance to fucking talk.
Yeah, I like I said, like looking back at it, I should have got a hotel room, something which would have guaranteed like great Wi-Fi. I felt a little blindsided that they had like a post show ready to go on the Shuley Network about it, like not even including me in it. Kind of like I kind of felt like I was set up to be like, I don't know, like whatever they wanted me to.
Right.
Like I was set up by them. I felt like, I mean, I hashed it out. That's all water under the bridge. Now someone's going to see this and like, look, he's throwing him under the bus again. It's like, no, this shit we already hashed out.
Look, man,
hashed out.
You don't need to feel crazy feeling that way, because it's exactly how I felt watching the whole thing go down. I was like, these are people who they could have had me on. I could have had them on if they wanted to settle something with me. I'm an old hand at this game. We could have done that, but I just thought to use you as it's like Joe almost
like it's a mafia hit. They told me like, hey, you're just gonna go in and drop off this. Just gonna go in there and drop off this loaf of bread. We just made him some bread. You just go in there, and then they come in with machine gun.
But then the problem was they got really mad at you after because it didn't work out that way. Like you and I ended up, putting a show together. And then it seemed like every time someone would have you on their show or respond and they talk about that interview, they're either pissed off at you because you didn't get me, or they were pissed off at me because I didn't run away crying or something. I'm like, guys, you ever watched interviews? Like, that's kind of how they're supposed to go.
Well, we're going to get them both today. We're both going to cry today.
We're running away.
We're both going to open up Barbara Walters style or something, or like Oprah.
We're running away screaming from this one. Yeah. I got to be honest. I think you and Carlos Danger, I think, are a good pair. And I think a lot of people have said that. Carlos.
Finally, someone likes him. I don't like him.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I'm
kidding.
No, I think sometimes you do have to put him in his place, because I think he likes the shine he's getting from Ray DeVito, and sometimes he gets a little over his skis thinking he's the reason. And I think
you hear this, Carlos?
I think sometimes
let this sink in, Carlos. You hear this?
Ray DeVito is the reason for the season. He's the reason why all these people are coming to watch, is because of Ray DeVito. So you sometimes, like I said, you got to put your foot down and let them know, hey, it's the Ray DeVito show.
This message is for Carlos Danger.
You're my helper. Act like a helper. But no, I'm glad we're getting to do it this way. I'm very excited that we get to get this stuff all out there. And it does. I think you're right. I'm glad it's water under the bridge. I'm glad you've worked that stuff out. But I felt like, especially with our show, there were a lot of people using you because they didn't want to come to me directly. And I felt like even with the Pottstown stuff and things like that, people were trying to use you for something. And I thought they would make you like a whack packer or something. And you did kind of hulk up a little during that whole process. And you started yelling at Kevin, yelling at Shuli, yelling at your co-host, yelling at other people. You're like, no, fuck that. I ain't going to be Jeff the Drunk. I'm not going to be Beetlejuice. And now you've kind of carved out a little niche for yourself.
Yeah, no, it is fun. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not here. I don't want to get angry at people. I'm just having fun. That's all. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Just having fun. It's not supposed to be as toxic as a lot of people want it to be.
Right. What's funny is that I hear people say that. I hear you say that. I hear Bob say that. I hear even Chad say that now. I hear everyone say, oh, we just want to have fun. But at the time I was going on your show was the time that Chad was doing his doxing and family stuff at me and showing my house and shit like that.
You mean he had he's still doing it, just not to you.
Right, he's still doing that.
Now it's the potato.
Right, but I mean, he did it to me, and I came on your show, and this was right after I said what you just said. I go, we do a fun fucking morning show where we might occasionally bust on someone's podcast once in a while, but I ain't in this to dox people and go to families and shit like that. And one of the biggest things that Joe and these other people wanted you to hit me on is, oh, Aaron says he just wants to have fun. Oh, how gay is that? And I love sitting back now and watching a couple months later, everyone else go, hey, this is getting a little too toxic. I just want to have fun. And I'm like, that's funny. The guy who did the fun thing first, he was a homo, he was gay, but now everybody else realizes, oh, this Chad guy's a piece of shit. Oh, these people are doing some doxing shit. That's kind of gay. We just want to have fun. So I will say this: better late than never is what I'll say.
I will say this, and Shuli, not they don't dox people.
No,
nobody over there does that. We are having fun over there for the most part. I mean, sometimes I get frustrated when there's stories about me. It's like, come on, that's not the truth. What are you doing? But yeah, it is having fun. They're not doxing. I think there's just one guy that we know that's doxing people.
Yeah. Arguably two, but I mean, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it. But now that kind of dovetails nicely into Chad. Chad, the one and only mud shark, Chad Zumock, who where do you start? Have you ever met, because you know him longer than most people because you guys were both in Ohio.
Right.
Have you ever met or known anyone quite like this guy?
No, you know what's weird is it's getting he's detaching himself more from what the guy I used to know. Like there were signs of this, I think, when he lost the radio gig.
Yeah.
And I mean now you see all like the breadcrumbs from what happened in Cleveland, which I didn't even know the details of, but I would hear from other people in Cleveland. And like now where it is like this, like I was at I did a corporate show for Bridgestone Tires, and a guy who went to high school with was there, and he's like, "Oh, he's like, buddy of mine's a comedian, used to be," and like talking about Chad. I didn't trash Chad. I go, "Oh, he's in Florida. He's doing well." And then the other night, I went to the Cure concert, and there's a guy that I was in corporate seats. A buddy of mine just happened to have some seats there, and one guy there that's like one of his buddies like knew Chad because he used to do read their stuff on the radio or whatever. And I texted, I'm probably blocked on his phone, but I texted Chad, the guy's name. I said, "Oh, he's doing well." Like, what am I going to say? No, well, he gets beat up mysteriously every couple weeks. He just shows up at hospitals. His weird GoFundMes he sets up for strangers that no one hears of. He podcasts with his fucking army helmet on. And
he calls himself a mud shark.
And well, it's like, what am I going to say? Like, I'm like, "No, he's doing all right. He's in Florida."
Yeah.
Like, I never trash him.
Right.
I never trash him. I always like, "No, he's in Florida. He's doing well." If they looked on the internet for a second, saw this guy flipping out in hotel rooms. Oh, he's got a viral video of calling women the C words. You didn't see this? No, he's like 50 pounds heavier than what you remember him. But yeah, he's doing well. Like I'm like, no, he's doing good.
Yeah.
And like, hey, he's a good guy. He's doing fine. He's in Florida. I'm not trashing the guy. Like a stranger.
But isn't that the difference between all the rest of us who are doing these podcasts, with the exception of maybe Kevin, because Kevin does get heated. But isn't that the exception or the difference between you, Shuli, Bob, myself, April, all of us who like do a show and then go do life stuff. Like we go do a life. Chad is convinced that this is the be all end all, that this is it. Because what you just did at that concert where you go, I just tell people he's doing well. Because you know that if you start explaining all this shit,
I'm gonna
with
look
Chad,
like the idiot.
You're gonna look like a fucking asshole. They're gonna go, Ray DeVito's out of his fucking mind, you know? Whereas,
like, no way he's doing this.
Yeah. Whereas Chad doesn't have that awareness in his brain. He takes the internet with him everywhere he goes. He throws chairs in hotel rooms. You know that if people asked him about Ray DeVito, they'd go, "He has a YouTube show, and there was a pink blanket, and there was this, and there was that." Yeah. And Chad doesn't understand that when you start telling people about internet shit in the real world people go, "Aren't you 48 years old? Like, isn't this fucking insane what you're talking about?" So you're right. You got to keep that internet shit on the internet so you can go live a real life. Because if you start blurring the lines like Chad does, I think he's a cautionary tale. I think anybody can drive themselves that nuts if they invest in it that heavily.
And I don't know how he's going to dial it back. Like, where do you go from here? Like, comedians have seen that. Like, and I quit tweeting about him, and like, because I put up one tweet once when he tried to get me off booted off MLC and off the Shuli Network, where I kind of went into him, and then like I just happened to be in New York the next week, and like comics are asking me like, what's going on with, like, because they're watching from afar, and like. This all Chad has now. Like, if you look at his Twitter, everything is these tweets.
Before he deletes
I can't see him. I'm blocked. But you know what I mean? Like, they're all off the rails. Like, people ask me sometimes, like, "Hey, you're friends with Chad. What's going on?" And it's like I'm talking about comics that see his tweets, and it's like how do you go backwards from here? Like, how do you dial it back?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, what? Oh, okay, let's each give our answer. Let's put ourselves in Chad's shoes. Let's try to be Chad Zumock, and let's try to better him. And let's try to. How do we dial this back? I think the only way you dial it back is you either reach out and apologize to some of these people you've done this shit to, and then try to go on and tell your audience that you're changing your content. You're going to do more of like a radio show where a talk show, things like that, or I think you just got to walk away from the internet altogether.
He's never walking away from.
Right.
He likes the attention. Like, I think that's what happened is he got so, like, he got that radio gig, and he was like a local celebrity in Cleveland. I mean,
Right.
I've said that before. Like, he really was. Like, he was the radio guy, and he got like to hang out with like Kyrie Irving and Cleveland Browns players, and like
Yeah.
because MMS, every time there was a concert in town, he got to like be backstage and meet Primus and stuff.
Yeah.
So he got there. So he never, like, the job left him, but he never left the job. He still
Yeah.
thinks he's that guy, and it's like he never like allowed the separation to happen.
Yeah.
So he still thinks he's that guy. And to some people, it's entertaining watching from the outside, like, oh, look at this guy unravel. But
That's
I
just
don't
it.
know.
That's just it, too. You just hit the nail on the head. Like, when I had to walk away from radio because we got in trouble, I knew that this was a step down. I knew that I had to kind of humble myself and work hard to rebuild a new audience, whereas he just kind of thought that this is all a continuation and any attention is good attention. But you just nailed it. He thinks that he has fans, and what you just said, people are watching him to see him melt down, and that's not healthy for a guy like him who doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, I don't know where he goes. Like, even when he had his problems with people in Cleveland, I would ask him like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And he's like, "Nah, they're just they're just jealous of this or that." I was like, "All right, whatever." I didn't pay much attention to it. And then when I was the guy, because what happened with me and him, we were fine. And then the second him and Kevin had that first divorce, and I still did Kevin's show.
Yeah.
And then I was that guy that he would just shit on. And it's like, wow, I would see him being unhinged. I'm like, oh, he can be that guy. And now he's not even doing it behind the scenes. He's showing it to the whole world. Like, oh yeah, I can be unhinged. Here it is.
Like, he's threatening, like, Cardiff Electric, who does, if people don't know, Cardiff Electric does a show as a potato, a cartoon potato. And Chad is the only one who takes the cartoon potato gimmick seriously. He is
That's like being mad at George Jetson.
Exactly. Or the dog, it's like Astro, getting mad at Astro. So Chad is now threatening to dox the potato and tell everyone who the guy behind the potato is, which is insanity to me. And while that may impact Cardiff, and that may be a shitty thing to do to him, it also takes Chad further away from any kind of redemption and breaks him even further. Like, Chad's one of those guys who every time he attacks, he wears down a little bit of himself, and I don't think he's seen it yet. And I think exploding at the corn during an interview and yelling at the piece of corn, and
wouldn't that be hilarious if the corn turned into popcorn and started?
Yeah, just started popping. Yeah. And then now he's threatening to nuke the potato, and it goes back to what you said. How do you go back? How do you go back from threatening to dox the potato?
Well, here's the one thing. First of all, I obviously hope he does not dox him. He's a decent. He does something decent and doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But all right, but let's say, like, Cardiff is not an asshole online.
No.
So if his identity did get out there or something, it's not like he's got something to be embarrassed about.
Right.
If that, but still, no, you should not dox him. Let him have his personal life. But it's not like he's Chad doing horrible things. He's just making silly songs and stuff.
Right.
Like, he's not doing that. So it's like, who's like, we got to get him. We got to stop him. What's he doing that's so shitty? What did he do that was so shitty to you, Chad?
But that's the thing about all of us, whether it's you, Carl, me, you could even argue Kevin, Bob. All the rest of us have ever done is make fun of the content that he does. We watch what he does and react to what he does. And then he goes, oh, these people are ganging up on me. I'm going to show where their fucking house is. And then he'll always say, Steel Toe started it. And I'll be like, started what? I played your show and I said, this guy sucks. And he went, oh, yeah, here's your kids. Here's your house. Look, everybody. And I'm like, does he not, like, the fact that he doesn't grasp that Cardiff, you, Carl, me, he doesn't understand that there's a difference. And this speaks to that internet life versus real life thing. He doesn't understand that making fun of someone's content is not the same as telling people where someone lives and exposing their family. I don't think, people are like, oh, he plays dirty. I don't think he knows he's playing dirty. I think he sees these things as the same thing.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, he did call and try, like, it was proven that he did try to call and get that show in Orlando shut down.
Yes.
He did try and get that show in Rochester shut down. Like, and now he's threatening to go to, but obviously he's not going. Like, now he built up this thing where he's like, listen, I'm going to lie. So
yeah,
like, that's somehow like I think he's going to your thing? No, but here's where I do think he's going to lose, because there are people in the Dabbleverse that are like, oh yeah, we're going to go to, I think they're going to go and they're going to go and they're going to have fun. It's going to be a fun time if they go.
Yeah.
But like, they were going because they like, Chad's going to, I'm going to get some viral videos. If he shows up in Atlantic City, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. It's like, hey, Chad.
That's just it. You're going to spend thousands of dollars potentially that I don't know if he has it or not. And I'm like you. He's lying. He's not doing any of this stuff. But let's say he does. Let's play this. Chad never plays anything out. He's like a goldfish. He just kind of swims, Let's play it out, Chad.
Not enough. Have you seen how much weight he's put on in that video of him calling women the C word?
Fair enough. He's a grouper or a halibut. Fair enough. But he got the brain of a fish where he just kind of starts swimming. He doesn't have a plan. If he does Atlantic City or he does the anniversary party, he's going to spend thousands of dollars. And if he acts like an asshole, people are just going to remove him from those events. So you're going to he doesn't think of the end game. You're going to spend a shitload of money. You're going to harm yourself financially. And in the end, even if you make videos, it's going to be videos of people not wanting you there. I really don't know where the victory is in that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think he's going. And he can go to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Maybe he might, because he says he's going to New York City. That's
okay,
fine.
That's if you believe he's going to New York City, though, also.
I mean, he knows Florentine. He'll probably stay with Florentine or something. Like, I could see him. Again, and I think Florentine's getting the version of Chad that I would always get, where he would tell me, like, problems he'd have with people, and I'm like, all right, they're probably exaggerating. But I think Florentine could see it in real time. Like, he sees a tweet. But notice all his beefs. Like, why he doesn't like Levy, why he doesn't like me, why he doesn't like Kevin, why he doesn't like you, why he doesn't like Shuley. Like, there are 5 different reasons.
Yeah.
It's not like the one reason. He's given everyone different reasons.
Right. What's the saying? If you meet an asshole, you met an asshole. If everyone you meet is an asshole, you're an asshole.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all different reasons why everyone is
an asshole.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let me switch gears here. I think we covered it with Chad. I want to talk a little bit about this weird beef, because I like both of you guys. I'm friends with Geno Bisconte. He's going to be coming here in August. I genuinely like you. And you guys don't get along. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I'm one of those people where I'm like, my relationships with people are on an individual basis. I don't do, this guy doesn't like this guy, so I can't like him. But I don't know where this starts. I know that you two don't like each other, genuinely, and you both have your reasons, but I don't know where it starts.
I seriously don't hate him. I really don't. I just don't like that he's an asshole to me, is essentially it.
Okay.
I don't hate him. Like, Chad's giving me reasons to, I mean, I did not enjoy him giving out my phone number on air.
Sure.
And then tweeting a video of them doing it, like cutting out that video and then tweeting it. Like, that's like, but I mean, I think that's like, die downer, but I don't hate the guy. And so I don't know. I think it all was at one show like 4 years ago. Fine. They said it was a time constraint. That's why it got shut down. I was like, all right. If Gina Levy says that's why it got shut down, all right, I believe her. That's why it got shut down.
But like, if it is about that secret show or whatever it is, like that, when I listen to it as an outsider, I think that community is so isolated and insulated that everything makes sense to them. But to an outsider like me, I hear what you guys are fighting about and I go, guys, that's stupid. That's not a big deal. You guys had a show a few years ago, and people disagree as to why it ended. Who gives a shit?
I don't care.
Right.
I really don't
Who gives a shit why the show ended? The show ended. Now, Geno says you said something about him saying the N-word, but like I've heard Geno say the N-word before on a broadcast and things like that. It's not something he runs away from. Fuck, he said it on my show. So, like, I don't know. Like, the whole thing just seems a little silly to me.
I agree.
Okay.
I 100% agree. It's silly. I don't hate the guy.
Okay.
And I'm
what
gonna
about
say, all
what
right,
about the
it
compound
ended
thing?
because of a time constraint.
I've never asked you about the compound thing, about the Kevin Brennan payments and the numbers. I've heard people say that Kevin wouldn't pay you unless you gave out people's numbers. Did that happen? What's your side of that story?
I said this to, I let Shuli know that the 3 people that did, he said send Kumia's number. I did it, took a picture, and then unsent it to 3 numbers. So nobody got his number, but I did take a picture of it and then unsent it immediately.
Oh, to show Kevin that you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I immediately unsent it. So they never. So hopefully they never got it. But I just did that to do that.
Okay.
But
well, I don't know.
E-Rock, I fucking texted, be like, hey, can you take down that video or at least take it out of the show? And he never did. So him, I'm mad at too for not.
Okay.
So
again, it's like everything else. There's just shit flying everywhere.
Yeah.
There's just shit flying back and forth. I'm surprised that that worked, you taking those pictures and sending them to Kevin, because as we know, Kevin Brennan is very astute technologically. And he should be able to catch something like that.
Yeah, so
all right.
Nobody got.
So maybe look, I'm not Mr. Peacekeeper. I don't give a shit if, 2 guys who, have a problem shake hands or not. But maybe somewhere down the road, the you and Geno thing is fixable, and we'll see Ray DeVito on In Hot Water, or we'll see Geno Bisconte on Rock Bottom.
Yeah, like I said, I don't hate the guy, and yeah, that is something that could be fixable. But I'm just trying to get along.
Yeah, it's silly, right?
But the weird thing, like with Chad, is like there'll be moments where we get along for a minute, and then the littlest thing, and it's like right back. So him patching things up, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we could see each other, and I'll be cool to him. I don't care. I don't hate him. I don't wish him. But then the 1 minute, the littlest thing can set him off, and then he's back to Chad.
Ray, are you saying, and I don't believe this. If you're saying this, I find it very hard to believe. Are you saying that Chad may be a slight bit unstable?
I think there's a chance.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. There's a chance.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he could be unstable. I want to talk a little bit about your show, the Rock Bottom Podcast. What days are you on your channel? And I want you to tell people what your channel is. We'll put it in the description and everything. But what days are you on your channel? What day does the Shuli Network stuff happen? Explain your schedule, because like we said at the start of the show, it takes some getting used to.
My channel, I live stream on my YouTube channel, Rock Bottom Pod, and then after I stream, I usually take them down, put them on Patreon, patreon.com/Ray DeVito. But I try to do a live stream like 4 to 5 times a week. There's no set schedule. Usually like 10 or 11 o'clock on weekdays, and then every Thursday 1 o'clock on the Shuli Network on their YouTube channel.
1 o'clock Eastern or Central?
Eastern.
1 o'clock Eastern. Yeah. All right. Rock Bottom Pod is the channel. Subscribe to that. So I like that. No set time. So when they subscribe, they got to hit the notification thing. So they know.
That's what you got to do. I didn't even know that.
That's what you got to tell.
I'm not technically.
The next time Kevin gives you shit for not doing it at a set time, just tell him, no, Kevin, what I'm doing is I'm making people hit the notification bell so I can get more interactions. So they come right when I go on, and they come when they're called. Yeah, that's what you got to do, so they stop shitting on you for that one. We already talked about Carlos Danger and him being a fun little addition to your show. I think he gets as much out of that. I think he gets more out of it than you do, because I think he genuinely enjoys, because I think he considered himself a viewer of all this stuff for so long. I think you can tell he genuinely enjoys being a party to it.
Yeah, you know what else I like about him is I don't realize how much I'm getting slighted until he's like on the show with me explaining things to me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it is kind of shitty that they did that to me. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, Ray,
You
that
make a
guy's
good
shitting on
point.
you, Ray. Yeah. No, I think you've done a good job the last month or so. Like, it sounds weird to say this, but like sticking up for yourself, because I think a lot of people, it's almost like a prison punk test. People tried to make like a goof out of Ray Devito until you went, hey guys, shut the fuck up about the blanket. Shut the fuck up about Pottstown. Nobody gives a shit anymore. And like, you'll yell at Kevin. You'll be like, I'm not sitting here for you to shit on me all fucking day. I'll leave. I like that side of you. I think that's good. I think that's caused a lot of people to maybe back off of you a little bit and treat you with a little more respect.
Yeah, no, it's I don't mind a pink. Yes, I have a pink blanket. Who cares? I don't give a shit. Yeah, it's a blanket I have is pink. Okay.
How much mileage?
What a piece of shit I am, huh?
I think it speaks.
You believe this asshole is a pink blanket?
Yeah.
What up?
I think it speaks to how little content anyone who would talk about your pink blanket has. I think it's more of a detriment to them because it's like, guys, how low your stream should have logged off hours ago if we're going to the pink blanket.
Well, here's the deal. I do have a really nice comforter, like an and it was my dad's, who's passed away, but it's a really nice one. But that thing weighs like 5 pounds and it's giant. Nice. Now, when I'm running all over the country, like doing shows, I can't take that one. So I take one that was just at my sister's place. That used to be my niece's when she was younger. It's just a comfortable comforter. Like, all right. Yeah. All right. It's pink. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Who gives a shit about the blanket? There is one more thing I want to talk to you about today, and that is the branding of your audience. I know. Have you settled on the term Raytards?
They say that because it's Danny Polichuk's fault. I don't know if you know Danny Polichuk.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Him and Ryan Long, both very funny. Yeah.
So he's doing, and he said that they should call themselves, because my name is Ray.
Yeah.
So they like to call themselves the Ray /TARDS.
Yeah.
The Ray CISTS. The Ray.
I see now. I was
PIST, and they do it because they know it annoys me.
I was going to recommend, Ray, that you do it a little bit differently because Ray Devito grows on you. You know, the more you listen to Ray Devito, the more you find him likable and charming. So he grows on you, much like a CYST cyst does. So perhaps we call them the Ray-cysts, CYSTS. It's a little more playful. Give it a shot. Try it on. See what you think. The racist.
I'm doing a show in Columbus, like, hey, racists unite. And I'm like, no, stop.
I like it. But if you spell it CYSTS and you put the dash in the middle, it's cute. I like it. Besides,
you can't wear that shirt around the mall. What am I gonna do? Sell those after shows? I'm gonna look like a giant asshole.
I get it, but you'd probably sell a lot in some cities. You take that shit to Huntsville and you'll make a buck.
Yeah. They're buying them for the wrong reason. It's
well,
like, no.
You know,
suddenly Kumia loves me. It's like, no.
I was just going to say, I don't think we're going to be able to print those shirts because I believe Anthony Cumia has already branded his listeners that same thing. But it's spelled differently, so it might work. Ray, I do want to thank you for sitting down, and finally you and I get to do a proper talk, a proper discussion together. The YouTube channel is Rock Bottom Pod on YouTube. We're going to put the link down below there in all of this. Subscribe to that. Subscribe to this channel. Like him, like me, like everybody. This whole thing is all bullshit, and it's for fun, having a good time. Ray, anything you want to say before we head out here?
Yeah, I do want to say this. I don't know how you take it, but like when these podcasts have problems with me or whatever, it's like Chad being one of them or whatever, being like, I make more money than you. I have more views. I don't get it. Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but okay, good. What do you want to be better? I have what I have. You have what you have.
Right.
That's like a kid being like, I got these toys and you don't have these toys. What do you think of? It's like, good. Who cares?
Well,
great.
Like, how do you handle it? Are you asking?
Yeah, like, I don't care. Do you really take that personal if someone's
here's my thing. Like, when people, like, when a channel wants to shit on me or, say, oh, you suck, I will go to Social Blade. I'll look at the views and I'll be like, the people who want to stream snipe me or something, I have at least a 2-to-1 edge in views and more subscribers than all of them. So I go, well, who gives a shit what that guy thinks? But I think the healthy way to look at it is I have a lot more views than some people, and I have a shitload less views than some people. It's all nebulous. It's all floating out in the ether. Who gives a shit? Because if you start to obsess if you have more views or less views or more money or less money, that's a game you'll never win because, first of all, we're all nobodies. No matter
exactly.
Kevin, Bob, all of it. We're all no. If you got like 800 or 900 people at a time like Bob, or you got 500 or 600 like us, or you got 200 like Chad or a Melton or somebody like that, we're all nobodies. Nobody knows who we are, and nobody should. So I think once people start getting too deep into the numbers game, you kind of fuck yourself because you look stupid. Because you're like, okay, yeah, you have more views than this guy. Well, you've got 9 million views less than this guy, so aren't you a piece of shit? So I would say let people do that because there's no winning or losing in any of that because it's the internet
I don't
and
care.
it's gigantic.
I don't care. It's like, go ahead and do it. I'm like, that, it doesn't bother me. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I
a comic after a show be like, hey, I have a funnier joke than you have. I have this car. You have that. I don't care.
Well, and plus, a little secret, YouTube and social media views, it's kind of like radio ratings. You can pick out different categories and you can be like, oh, I kick your ass. And then they can pick out a different category of the statistics and go, no, I kick your ass. So like, it's all fake and phony anyway, in a weird way, because you can be like, well, I have more live viewers than you. Well, I have more total views than you. Well, I have more hours watched than you. It's like, well, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't care.
Ray, thank you very much, buddy. Rock Bottom Pod on YouTube. And also, Shuli Network, is it Tuesdays at noon Central, 1 o'clock Eastern?
Thursdays, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So it would be 2 o'clock Central, right? That's
12 Central. Ray,
12.
We got to know time zones at this point.
Yeah. You're right. It's an hour. Yes. Noon. So noon Central time.
High noon
1 o'clock
Central.
Eastern time.
On Thursdays on the Shuli Network. And then Rock Bottom Pod on YouTube. Go watch Ray with his sidekick, Carlos Danger. Second in command. The little midget to your Ricardo Montalban in Fantasy Island. Carlos Danger. Just make sure he does a good job. Make sure he's in his place. Ray, thank you very much, buddy, and thanks for stopping by.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
You too.
Have a good weekend.
You as well.